cold, not really cold, yeah, coffee session, casual chat. And this morning we're gonna have a topic on blended learning revisited to look into how we have implemented blended learning at Unit 10. So basically, I'm going to share with you the journey from 2016 until today. And also, when it comes to blended learning itself, I would recommend that you always have a look into our announcement, especially on the early semester reminder, where you can get all the collections of memos, circulars regarding blended learning. Okay, so I don't have to really go through the slides. It's supposed to be very casual. So what I intend to do is just to straight away look into what we have for today. So blended learning is nothing alien to us because ever since a few years ago, when it comes from even the COVID experience, we were saved by having experienced from the transitioning of face-to-face or conventional to fully online. So how does this relate to blended learning? Simply because we have already been implementing this at the university level for, I believe, for more than 5 years. So we were quite prepared when we look into the transition coming from the conventional to virtual implementation. So blended learning happens when we teach in the classroom, such that we meet all our students face to face, but the course repository or the materials are indeed being hosted somewhere. So in our case, it will be the LMS or the Learning Management System. We have it on Brighton. And we also have activities pertaining to the class deliverables, as well as having to conduct assessment. And if we were to compare from the previous teaching practices, when we had everything without um, conventional or perhaps without um, online kind of approach, we were very comfortable with teaching with pen and paper, especially when it comes to writing on the board. It's all about chalk and talk, where we became somewhat the center, um, can we say, figure, okay, in the classroom, where we keep on ranting. We can't say ranting. We keep on lecturing and bulldoze throughout the lecture to just finish our syllabus. So that is considered without the online tools or technology being used to facilitate our class. And from there, we have been acquainted with the internet for not really acquainted now. I think we are living in years whereby we became a very much is a native. Can I say that? Some of us are native, some of us are still afraid of the technology. But what we can say is that those HTML years, when we started the internet way back in 1995 in Malaysia. So we saw and noticed the differences when it comes to creating your first email. And then we also have somewhat like an experience to tweak about the web page with some HTML coding. Only in 2010, we started to see Moodle being introduced at Unit 10. So from there, we saw some of our lecturers were willing to explore further in terms of putting all our resources online. And from there, we can see some of us were quite advanced when it comes to adopting the LMS Moodle. And then to a certain extent, some of our lecturers were still in need of facilitation or help or assistance in many ways to populate. Okay, when I say populate, that means you want to fill in all your resources on Brighton. Now it's Brighton. Previously, it's just Moodle. Okay, so when it comes to that, okay, so let me just adjust on this. Okay, hold on. You notice that I'm clicking here and there, and then you see that. So this depends on how much coverage you get from the Wi-Fi access point. So I'm quite far. Okay, so we are finally here. So I'm going to talk about the blended learning level. So before anything else, I would encourage you to have your coffee with you because this is not a coffee session without plain coffee. So the central theme for today will be the cold brew, but instead I had my Spanish latte to start with. So blended learning levels here at Unit 10, we have 4 different levels. So if I were to bring you to trail back, okay, the history of the blended learning introduction here, we can say, we can celebrate that most of us, in fact, the community, our academic community, is now can I say flourished? Okay, we know how to handle a blended learning level 1 at least, whereby is the use of online resources, at least to populate all your documentations, your slides, your manuals, and many more. And this is just regarding Brighton LMS as for now. And then for this, once you're already settled with your technology-aided learning, we go to enhanced learning, which is BL level 2, whereby we have interactive content. This is where you are going to have all your technology and tools coming in to help you with your classes. So it wouldn't be just having to concentrate on PowerPoint presentation, but I would regard that as a tool as well. Nevertheless, you can see if you fancy Padlet for now, so that is regarded as enhanced learning. So if you do have anything with instructional tools, just like Mentimeter or maybe just Kahoot, those are indeed something that can be brought into level 2. So we're talking about enhancing the learner's side of experience. So we have interactive content. Nowadays, we always have this called Genially, or maybe we have something called Edpuzzle. In fact, there are many more of these tools that can be incorporated into your Brighton LMS. We also encourage you to venture into collaborative platforms. So when we say collaborative platforms, this is where your students are going to be able to work together and work on certain task that you have in mind during the class hours. So these are none other than having to facilitate during the classroom. So when we say blended learning in the classroom, it simply means that you are just using the tools behind the four walls. But again, the concept of blended learning is more of you are having things being taught in the class, but later on, once the students have already packed up and go to another class, and then they're going to settle down their hostels or accommodation. They're going to seek facilitation. They're going to seek guidance coming from the LMS. This is the reason why the LMS Brighton is very much important in a student's life everywhere. Not only at Uni 10, but somehow LMS is the first focus about the lectures as well as the course materials, about the assessment, as well as all the learning activities that have taken place during the class. So which part is the blended learning? So when it comes to the definition, remember this casual chat is much more on revisiting what we have done and to amplify, really amplify, to reinforce your understanding what blended learning is supposed to be. So blended learning, if I were to use tools in the classroom, that is not blended learning. That is just a facilitation or teaching aid. But when it comes to students outside of the classroom, referring to your materials and getting all your resources, that is considered blended because you are not seeing them anymore and they are actually having access to all your materials online. The online part, which is not conducted during the class time, that would be the blended learning part. But we always have to remember not to overdo the online thingy if compared to what we have this by default kind of lecture delivery in the classrooms. Blended learning we do have a principles coming from the guideline, and we also have something which is governed by some blueprints, and this would be something that we need to be very careful about. Already, we receive complaints from students that some of our lecturers do not really understand the importance of having to conduct face-to-face lectures during the class schedule that has been in the timetable. At the same time, you're seeing classes online fully. So this is the time that we believe that KFL needs to do something about it to reinforce the understanding of the academics that blended learning is not something to replace whatever that you have during the class time. Meaning if you have class at 8 to 9 every Monday, make sure that you come to class and also conduct your lecture face to face. But blended learning part should be conveyed at the LMS platform in terms of a very organized repository or organizations of the materials. So that one will be blended. Right. So that is regarding what we perceive blended learning is at Unit 10. Level 3 would be this one. Sorry, it's not numbered, but this one is how you have managed your first level, okay, the LMS. And then you know how to use the tools into your class. And now you are going to be ready at blended learning 3 implementation, which is flipped teaching and learning or flipped classroom. So this is the hardish part about the flipped teaching and learning. So when we say flipped teaching and learning, it simply means that you are having somewhat to prepare beforehand to give the materials to the students, not 1 hour before, but somehow it should be something which is given 5 days earlier or at least 1 week. Why? Because the students needs to be prepped in order for them to really get into the experience of learning. This is something that is to be treated as being voluntarily basis. You have the materials and then you're going to conduct the class by using the materials that you've already prepared. So it comes in stages. So you need to do some preparation before coming to class. And during the class time, so say for example, if I have a class at 10 to 11 every Tuesdays, so if I were to flip the class, for example, yesterday I went for a conference, so I do not have any meeting time with them. So they are going to be given a worksheet, a lesson plan well beforehand, and then they're going to do the class activity. So I'm going to share with you how it can be done for fluid teaching and learning in the absence of the lecturer. But we're talking about asynchronous, so that's a different story. For flipped teaching and learning, we should be concentrating on how we conduct, okay, the classes by means of preparing the materials, do the discussions during the class, and then end that with a simple reflection or an assessment to wrap up the whole lesson. So that is flipped teaching and learning, a little bit of energy that needs to be done, to be given away to prepare the material. So it needs to be carefully planned ahead of time. Then to sum things up for the blended learning implementation levels at Unit 10, we also have adaptive learning. So when we talk about adaptive learning, so this is more on having to be smarter. But which part is the smarter one? Is it the lecturer or is it the students or is it actually coming from the LMS? So when we talk about adaptive learning, it's more of the tools that is governing how we want to conduct the class based on certain statistics or maybe some data that we can have beforehand. So adaptive learning here is based on understanding the student's preference of learning. So when it comes to this, we are going to be able to customize the learning path here such that customizing should be able to to try to get everyone on board on the same page, on the same speed, but we know that that is going to be difficult to handle. So what we do is that some of the materials are going to be given away to accommodate the slow learners. And then some of them are for intermediate learners. And of course, to the ones who's actually advanced, fast learners, they're going to be given somewhat like an enrichment resources or materials. So this is how things can be done when we know which one is on which part or which phase of learning. So adaptive is somewhat computerized. So when we say computerized, that means we are talking about having to study a collection of data coming from the student's behavior. Our LMS can do that, but to a certain extent, adaptive learning needs to gather more data on understanding how the student learns, the habits and behaviors of the learners as well. So this is a bit different from the rest of the levels. Adaptive learning is more of LMS aided kind of approach, whereby it should be somewhat helped with some intelligence. Okay, when we say intelligence, that means it needs to run some coding and run some visualizations of the data that can be obtained from the students' learning behavior. So this should be done from beginning of the semester until the end of the semester to watch out on their experience in terms of learning. So should you be spotting some of the students declining in terms of the grade or the performance, the LMS should be able to pick up that student's data, that student's behavior, and report back to you. So this is something that we can do with adaptive learning, but it is more of LMS kind of ability. But as for now, we do it manually using some lesson activities, which is a built-in activity on Brighton. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not going to be the only one to be talking. Of course, it's always a single communication, but you are always free to throw your ideas or feel free to ask whenever you feel that it is appropriate during this time. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. So let me just show you. Sometimes you believe that you might be a bit left out. Okay. But what we are doing now at KFL is that we want to host something like a repository of all our circulars, our memos, guidelines, and announcements. So now today, I'm going to just talk and concentrate more on blended learning implementation. Where can I get this? Okay, so you always have to check on this, but somehow you don't see anything. So let me just share all screen. You see this? Okay, so sharing the screen should give you an idea. Now I'm showing you an email. So this is always, okay, the early semester reminder that KFL loves to blast to everyone before the beginning of the semester. So do you remember, somehow we always stress this on the early semester reminder poster. It says here, you need to utilize the Brighton as your course learning management system. Why do we have to specify this? Why do you have to spell out this thing in the poster from time to time? For your information, Brighton is the LMS that you need to adopt, and it's standardized across the university. So for this, all your course pages are being created for every semester for the students to refer to. Please remember that students, they do not see you all the time. What most that you can do for them would be to store or to upload all your resources as a guidance to them on your course pages. So sometimes we saw that we have some reports coming from the colleges talking about lecturers who do not use a standardized LMS for this particular reason. So Brighton is a place for you to fill in all your resources, your slides, your activities, and many more. So this is actually the one-stop center for each and every single students of yours to have your content, your materials to facilitate their learning. That is the first thing that we want to enforce to you. All courses, and now at Uni 10, all courses are to meet at least BL level 2. Why do we enforce this? We believe that we have stabilized from 2016 until to date 2024. Given that amount of time, the length of years that you are actually focusing on your teaching, you have so much acquainted with your LMS, and it is about time for you to venture into pulling all these tools, technologies into your LMS. Okay, the reason is that you do not want your LMS to be blunt. You don't want it to be very um, so much not so attractive. Okay, beautify your LMS by all means. If you can, make it more attractive. We do visit some of the LMSs from time to time according to our BL reports that we retrieve for each semester. And sometimes we found that they're just plain slides and they're just plain notes and nothing more. So please ensure that this is the place where you should cherish. Okay, when I say cherish, that means you need to be tapping in your creativity to provide the flow for the students to learn, as well as to encourage them to visit your course page more. So Brighton is the place for you to do all this, yeah? And of course, at Uni 10, we have been practicing this somewhat mismatched, but to update your BI level on the portal. So I'm going to walk through this later with you, visit a Brighton course page, and then see how you can make it better. How to practice those, yeah? And also, for the early semester reminder, so this is something that you need to do by now. Always establish a communication channel with your students. You can go to the Unit 10 365, go to your semester, and then look into class notice and post it from there. But please encourage to have a bi-directional, okay, two-way communication with your students. So I would encourage you can use WhatsApp. But if you do not want to disclose your contact number, you can always choose to use Telegram. Okay, so that one is better because you don't want them to contact you in the middle of the night for no reason, isn't it? And of course, that is the way for blended learning that we have been maintaining over the years. Okay, so if you take a look, read carefully for each and every single email that we actually send coming from KFL at Unit 10 email, notice that we have this circular and announcement available at a link. So that is the link in particular that I'm sharing with you. So there you go. Let's try to have a look into what we have for blended learning implementation. So there are several. And if you notice, these are circulars and memos that should you not be adhering to this, you are going to be penalized for certain reason for not implementing blended learning. Okay, right. So let's look into, remember it was 2016, yeah, when we talk about blended learning. Okay, let's try to find out. Here, compulsory implementation of blended learning level 2. So you can watch this, okay, coming. It is compulsory for everyone to do this. Okay, so that means you should be having somewhat, you have this circular saying that you should be at level 2 at least. When was this? Oh, it was 2023. Okay, so it is compulsory for everyone to adopt blended learning 2. But how to do this, you have to consider adopting the level 1 first, meaning you have to beautify, you have to concentrate, focus on populating your LMS first before reaching to blended learning 2. There's always somewhat like a misconception. So if I were to try to explain to you what are we looking for in your blended learning implementation is that you do not actually skip technology aided learning here, first level, to go to level 2. Do not expect us to see videos suddenly coming from nowhere, and then suddenly there are some learning activities, but then there's no course outline to be found in your LMS. So that is amazing. It's a big surprise to us because you should fulfill at least to convey your contract with the students, which is your course outline. And then you also need to ensure that you have all the materials, the slides. That is the minimum that you can share with your students. I understand that the slides may not have changed, but it's time for you to change if it's still version, the old version, yeah? The LMS needs to be maintained. If I say that you need to maintain it for each and every single semester, that's quite taxing, isn't it? You always have an option to archive and then you need to recover or it's not recover, yeah. Okay, to call it back. Okay, call it back to your Brighton page for this semester. For example, you have already archived it. So meaning calling back or meaning de-archiving. So anything that you can term it as is very important for us to maintain all these course materials and at least revise it from time to time, because some of the students do complain that they are still having the same lecture notes from the last 10 years. I know where it's coming from. I know it's normal to have slides which is not changed, but please have some revision to it. Our slides are very tagged or very tied, okay, to your textbooks. Some of us do that, but some of us love to personalize our own slides and notes. Yeah, so please be careful. We are talking about blended learning, but how can we manage blended learning well if we do not actually settle on something better? Meaning your slides, your repository. Okay. Okay, coming back to the circular or memo. So we have already delivered saying that it's compulsory for everyone to be at level 2 at least, because level 1 meaning you should maintain your course page by now. Okay, so we know some of a handful lecturers who do not use or do not adopt Brighton LMS. So it's about time that I deliver this message to you. Um, we don't like to hunt down people for not using LMS Brighton, yeah. But again, it is compulsory implementation of blended learning level 2. But you have to fulfill your level 1. Okay, that was last year, 2023. Okay, regarding blended learning, there. Penggunaan Moodle sebagai pelantar rasmi Learning Management System, Unit 10, 30th August 2019. Wow, before the pandemic. So Moodle was given a recognition to become your official learning management system. Once upon a time, it was Moodle, and then we rebrand that to Brighton. So that is the thing. So I don't like to get serious about this, but this is something serious, okay? You need to adopt LMS for Unit 10 courses. Okay, so this is 2019. So that it's been a long time ago, yeah, when we actually fulfill this level. Okay, guideline. It is something handy for you to follow. 2022, there was an initiative on SBL, but I'm going to talk about that because now what is more important is for you to get to nail down the definition of blended learning at Unit 10. Then we can talk about substitute blended learning. So that one is even, it's not very pretty to talk about, yeah? August 2022, we revised our guide to blended learning. So let's have a look. Okay. This girl here. Okay, let's have it's so big. But it's okay. All right. So there you go. You have definitions, you have principles, and then we have BL at Unit 10. Okay. Okay, make it smaller then. Now, how do you make it smaller? Oh, escape, then you go back then. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go back to this. Yeah. Now you need to sign in for some reason. Okay. Where was I? Just want to have a preview, that's all. Okay. There you go. Principles of blended learning. Works like a blender. So meaning blending what? Blending your conventional with that your online. But we do have a rule to that. Not to overdo it, remember? So when we are overdoing it, it becomes so online that people don't see you anymore. So we try to practice a bit, come to class and then conduct some of your lessons and then put all your materials online and then see how they learn from there. So keep it up. There. Typical classroom, behind the four walls. Put all your tools together. That is, what do we call that? Teaching aid. That's not blended learning, my dear. Now, go to online. Then if it to be online, then that means you put it on your Brighton. So that is considered blended. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how we do it. Blended is integration of classroom with virtual online experience because often we have confusion. But worry not. So let's have a look. Okay, it's 2021 onwards, so it has been there for some time, and we started off with just adopting our LMS. Those days we call it Moodle. Now it has a name, fancy name. We call it Brighton. Right there. Now this is the thing. Occasionally you have seen that KFL has been blasting some posters, distributing some posters on blended learning. Now is week 3, if I'm not mistaken. So we should be at BL level 3. Next week is going to be BL level 4. So we thought that we are going to have some like a to teach you again, to try to inculcate, okay, to nurture you with all these blended learning strategies in your class. The least that you can do would be to have technology aided learning, which is LMS. Okay, use only Brighton, and then please upload your course outline because there's a contract that the students want to know. Oh, the class plan, when is it expected holiday? Oh, when is the test? When is the assessment? So those should be put nicely in your course outline. A minimum of 7 course notes or slides. But sometimes our lecturers, they are keen to adopt the textbook. So the slides are going to be based on chapters. We don't have so much worries. As long as you know that the slides are needed for the students to refer to. Without the slides, you're not going to be able to talk to your students on what you have discussed in the classroom, as well as to think that they got it from the classroom experience themselves. So you must actually provide these class notes and materials on Brighton. Okay, so please ensure that. Okay, minimum of 7. But what if you fall short? Say, for example, you only have 5 chapters. Oh dear, I don't have 7 course notes, etc. Maybe you can put in some articles, or perhaps you can put in some other copy materials, etc. A textbook, maybe. Okay, so those can be regarded as 7. But we don't we're not so much interested in the number of slides. Yeah, it's more of the content of your course page. So that is the thing. If you conduct, say for example, labs or maybe projects or thesis or assessment, dissertation kind of subjects, or maybe hafazan subject. So those are going to be regarded as a blended learning level 1. So that's something that you need to remember. Yeah. Okay. After all, this is just revisiting the BL level. Enhanced learning, only once you have fulfilled your blended learning level 1, then only you're going to have this, okay? Accomplish BL level 1, then you are ready to go to facilitate your class with your technology and tools. And here, what do we remember? Asking you to conduct at least 3 activities on Brighton. You have forum, you have Mentimeter, you can use Kahoot. And of course, our Brighton class page is very much I mean, it has its own activity type. Okay, maybe I'm going to go through quickly. And also, you can import coming from elsewhere to be linked to your Brighton. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. You can read more on the Flip Teaching and Learning because there are many. But again, having accomplished level 1 and level 2. So because I'm not having anything today, let's look into Brighton LMS, how you can go about it. Okay, so let's look into this. Pardon me. So this is how it looks like. You go to your dashboard, there's nothing, but you go to this, you have a lot of things to see. Okay, so let's pick my course here. This is how it's supposed to look like, yeah? Okay. You might be asking, you might be thinking, because I'm doing micro-credential as well, so does that mean that I have to be on par with Jehana's course page? The answer is no. You don't have to be like me. You are one unique person and you don't have to be having everything like mine. Okay. So if you look into the course menu, please remember that there are two approaches on your, this is Brighton course page. Okay. So always naturally you need to greet and welcome your students. Okay. So have a look into your course menu. Okay. So at least you are at least okay, a few weeks ahead of your lecture time. So we are in week 3. So basically, I just lumped the first month of the course here. I don't make it a habit to always retrieve coming from the previous semester because this is how I can actually tailor make the semester based on the public holidays. So I know how to anticipate when and how you want to access the students. Based on the timeline. So there you go. So this is the thing. Remember, you need to have your communication here, and then you must have this course outline. Okay, course outline for the semester. Because we're coming from different colleges, we have different course outline. But make it a habit as well if you have a course plan. Okay, so remember. So this is also calling me to tell you something about the importance of having to show your students on the course plans. Why? Because we notice that some of our lecturers are missing from the face-to-face class. Why? Because it's a sudden thing that you want to do and suddenly 5 minutes and you still haven't reached the office and then starting to say, okay, we're going to switch to online lecture. That's not the way. So please ensure that you can do by all means any plans that you have. Say, for example, you're away for a meeting, then you're going to put it into your plan. And this is actually known to you ahead of time. So you're going to put it in your class outline. Okay? All right. So this is something that needs to be recorded on your course page. Right. The course outline, as natural as it can be. This is how it looks like. This is what we're looking for. Course outline. I'm coming from COE, so this is how it looks like. Okay. Okay, so most of the time, because sometimes you remember, is this blended learning 1 or blended learning 2 or blended learning 3? Okay, so this is blended learning. What you're seeing now, I've passed, okay, blended learning 1. And now I'm moving to blended learning. Why do I say that I've already passed blended learning 1? It's simply because you can see from here, week 1, I have topic 1, topic 2, etc. So it's already more than 7 topics, isn't it? So that means I've already gotten all my resources there. Okay, here you are, week 1. So you put all the things up to you. Okay, right. So make it a habit for you to become conversational with your students, and then you have a feeling of one day, one sweet day, I'm going to be able to produce my own micro-credential course. So this is always something that you can venture into. All right. So when we say that you are doing course repository, yeah, try to make it more interesting. So you have Padlet. You pull your Padlet, okay, to your course page rather than putting it aside. Okay, meaning students can always go to the course page elsewhere, meaning they can go and visit this website anytime, okay, on the web. But pull them into your course page. So this is something that you can use in terms of built-in kind of functions that I'm going to talk about with you, yeah? Put all the resources one point. Videos especially. Do some breaking the ice activity, you can put there, okay? Okay. So what are the things that you can do elsewhere? Pardon me. Go away. It's blocking my stuff here. Okay. It's too big. Turn on. Your editing page. Time for coffee. Yeah. Okay. Let's say that I want to make it better. That is very fancy. Maybe you don't like using Padlet, it's okay. Add an activity or resource. Voila, you have all the activities in the world that you can actually import or use. Simplest one, use file. File is so boring. You can use to introduce assessment for your activity. You could. Assignment, okay? And you can always use choice if you want to do something like adaptive, but that one is extensive. Yeah, today we're just doing things casually, saying that how can I reach to level 2 at least for today? Level 4, people use lesson. You want people to talk in your course page, okay? You use forum. Okay, once upon a time I had glossary, but this one is only a few familiar faces would do this. It will end up like a big uh, code book, okay, with definitions. Some of you might want to maintain this in the course, especially when it comes to a course with so much of definitions, yeah, and also acronyms. You can use file or folder to include anything. You can use feedback if you need to ask them to discuss. Okay, oh dear, okay, you can do that. This is not a hands-on demo anyway. This is just a walkthrough. Okay, what else? Okay. I like to use text and media area because it's fun to do. Okay, right. So let's look into what do we have in week 2. Well, it seems like we have a lot, yeah, last week. What did I do in class? Okay, quit that. Okay, so it seems that I've did something. Okay, remember all your notes are here. Say something to them. Okay, do your supplementary videos. This is not something that is mandatory. Supplementary. It's like it works like a recap, etc. Up to you. You can use generative AI video tool. So I use in video. So you upload it to your YouTube because no longer that we have Panopto. You post it somewhere. Yeah, I use YouTube. And this is where discussion comes in. Wondering what happened? Remember, during the class time, it is serving as a teaching aid. Now that you pull the activity, place it in your course page, it becomes blended learning. Why? Because no longer you are in the classroom and you are now online and then you have all the resources here. I always make it a habit to say that this is the class activity. This will be my instruction to them and then they're going to have this. During the class, I will pick up some of this representation here or maybe the posting. And then I'm just going to have talk to them what happens. Okay, select some few, yeah. And then later on in this process, so the students are going to visit the course midnight, early in the morning, up to themselves. Okay, there's one Madam Ayunisa here. The thing is that it is ready for them to learn. This is not offline. Offline means that to us, offline means that it's not happening during that time. Okay, but this is hosted at the course page so that they have ample of time to check. Maybe I want to check on what Team Wafik wants to know about these two comparisons. Say, for example, so meaning it is outside of the classroom. So this is the idea of having blended learning. But if you use this during the class time, it is just happening to become a teaching aid. Okay, please be reminded it's just a teaching aid. Okay, so how much can you do this in your class? Okay, usually we'll do this during maybe not a 1 hour class, usually a 2 hour class we'll do. And somehow to a certain extent, you want to limit your time. How can I be careful about blended learning approach? So we say blended learning is always something that you can do to have like 30% at least of the whole 14 weeks to be blended. Okay. And then you also have something to stretch it up to 60%. Okay, that's always the rule. But sometimes it goes with your nature of your subject. Not all subjects are going to be able to use blended learning too much. To a certain extent, for lab experiments, for example, if you are doing simulation, yes, you can do blended learning. But again, for electrical lab, for example, you need to make it in the lab. Okay, you need to run the hands-on modules during the lab session. So by hook, by crook, some of them cannot be using blended learning approach at all. So when it comes to that, maybe you can always check how much are you going to blend up to a certain extent. Okay, blending here means that you can always have all your notes here. So you are already at blended learning level 1 at least. And then if you provide some videos on top of the course outline and the slides, that means you are already at blended learning 2. But remember, we go by the guideline. Where is that? Blended learning 2. To conduct at least 3 activities on Brighton Use Forum. Remember the activity type. You can call for Padlet to come in. You can call Kahoot, Mentimeter. You can host it on the course page as long as it is available for the students after the class. So that is pretty much blended, yeah. Also, to conduct 2 assessments on Brighton, you can conduct quizzes. Sometimes you prefer it to be a DIY quiz. Okay, check your understanding kind of things, not graded. It's up to you. It is still considered blended learning level 2. You can use assignment. Graded assignment is good. Or, okay, this one, this is gray area here. Most of the time we now conduct our final exam or midterm in class. So I would encourage that if you do have quizzes, you have reflections, or you do have some small assignments or projects, you can just manage it online. Hence, it becomes blended. So I'm pretty much throwing you the ideas of how you can manage your LMS better now. Okay, so there goes the Brighton. At least after this casual chat today, you should be able to meet the objective of having to populate all your notes on your course page and the course outline, because sometimes we saw missing link, not really missing link, missing documents. We have all the notes, but we don't see the course outline. So that means it's already a breach of having to meet the compulsory compulsory compliance of blended learning implementation at Unit 10. So be careful a bit on that, yeah? Okay. And how do we go about that? Okay, so remember, use the poster. I wish to convey this as well. Why? Why am I going to this? Because sometimes when you check your classes, you go to my class today. Okay, go to your portal, check your timetable. Yeah. Find out about your student. Oh, check the attendance. Oh, there goes the report. Okay, please check your attendance. At the end of the semester, okay, after the final exam results has been released, you go to check on your evaluation. I'm suggesting that you do have a place here to declare your blended learning level, yeah? So that means go to this BL level, click on it. There's nothing strange about it. You know how to go and navigate about your class timetable, but you do not know how to click, okay, on your declarations of blended learning. So it's very important here. Okay, my subject, it should be like this. Okay, it's a drop-down menu. Most of them, you do not declare your blended learning level. So there goes, some of your names were reported to the college management. So there you go. You don't want that to happen. So you're going to find out, okay, I'm going to do blended learning level 2 at least. Okay, so you are safe. Okay, we are going to extract the data, and then at the end of the day, we are going to check on your, okay, you say that you are blended learning level 2. Let's go to this. Let me check. Is everything fulfilled? Everything's there. Okay, so that means you are okay. Meaning we do some cross-checking as well. Yeah. Okay, so if you say that I do as frequent as 4 flipped classroom session in one semester. Okay, by all means, go to blended level 3. But remember, you need to fulfill your blended learning level 1 and level 2 first before moving to blended learning 3 and 4. So I plan to introduce some lessons. So that is the highest blended learning that you can get for this semester. But you might be worried about some other things here. I know, you love to navigate through. Moodle course. You are confused now. Is it Moodle course? I thought I'm doing Brighton. This is Brighton here, but where is my Moodle? No, no longer that you have Moodle. Why? Because Moodle was the long time ago LMS. We have already migrated to Brighton LMS. It has a new name. It is still Moodle based. So you go panic. Why are you panicking? Okay, yeah, okay. Come. Okay, drop down menu. Oh, there's so many things that I have to find my course. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Huh? What's this? Okay, so can I tell you something? You don't have to worry about finding your courses anymore via this Moodle navigation tool drop-down menu, because all you can check, if you skim through, semester 2, 2019-2020. Oh, semester 1, 2015, 2016. What is this? These are all the maintained records of the Moodle pages, Moodle. Before 2019, before we rebranded, okay, our LMS. So nothing to worry about. You don't see it here. You don't select your course here anymore. This is just some hard coding back then, so it needs to be there. But then once you have already chosen your blended learning level, please don't forget to update the blended learning level. Click. Okay, right? So that's how we go about your blended learning level. Any questions so far? Okay, so we still have about 6 minutes. So if you do have any questions, so the time is now.
Dr. Dr. Jehana,
Yeah.
can you hear me? I'm Vivian.
Yes, Vivian. Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, right? But this is regarding SBL.
Yeah.
All right. So because so let's say in our SBL course outline,
Mm-mm.
so can we like when we do our online because it stated that the percentages face to face 70% and the online 30%, right? So
Yes.
we have put it in the course outline, the SPL course outline. But
Yes.
is the percentage are the percentages subject to changes? Can we like change a little bit? Like maybe during that semesters, right? We think that we want to increase the face to face to 75%, for example, and then the online 25%. Is it
Reduced.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Is
okay.
it
It's okay.
so just a
It's
little
not.
bit lah? It's not the
Yeah, it's
big
just a
major
tweaking.
changes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you just need to fill in the Excel table to just check that you do not exceed the requirement. Because when we say
Ah,
substitute blended learning, we need to be very careful, and then it needs to be notified to the students beforehand, meaning you need to
yeah,
come up with
sure.
a course plan like I already shared with you, meaning which
Uh-huh.
area would be the one expected to be online, which area is expected to be physical class. So that
Yeah,
means,
that would be
uh,
the
yes,
week one of the semester lah. But then well, for the SBL course outline, right, we cannot make changes, right? We can only make changes during APR, right?
hey,
So
not
this is what
necessarily,
no
not necessarily. There's no hard rule saying that you can only change during the APR. It's just enough
uh-huh.
that you share it with your HOD, saying that,
So if we make small changes,
yeah,
therefore, do we need to fill in the course review form? If we make small
no.
changes, no.
It's actually nothing concerning the course review, etc. This is just a mere conduct of
Ah,
class.
for
Blended
that
learning is conduct
semester,
of class.
for that
When it comes to
semesters,
APR,
right?
yes, when it comes to APR, it's about the course review, the curriculum. The
Ah,
conduct of class is not related to APR, but you need to show it to your or share it at least with your HOD or HOU. To tell
because
that you are doing SBL. Yeah.
my concern is that right now we are all using this SBL course outline. So meaning that SBL table, right? So it is
Yes,
in
yes.
the course outline, right?
Yeah.
So if I am to I mean if I'm to conduct the classes, for that semester, a little bit changes, I think should be no problem, right?
It
So we
shouldn't be
don't
any
have to
problem.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long
Okay,
as you
okay.
made it like a contract and then you're going to just mention it to your HOD
The
and let the
student.
students know. Do
Ah,
not exceed that
see.
50%. Do not exceed
Okay.
50%. Yeah.
All
No
right.
problem.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Vivian.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Dr.
Okay,
Jane.
no
Clear, clear.
problem.
Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye. Okay.
So open to any question or maybe suggestion. So I would like to wrap up our conversation today on blended learning revisited. So that's about all the journey that we had transitioning from the old years, okay, conventional, and then we adopt this blended learning whereby we have this conventional face-to-face, and then we have online, mix them together, but it needs to be done um, carefully, and you have to come up with a plan. Okay, all right. So as a matter of fact, should you have any questions and whatnots, you can always use this guideline if you want to, okay, coming from the email. So there are plenty of this, okay, on our SharePoint. So if you're interested, like what Dr. Vivian was asking just now on SBL, so we have this trial run earlier, but we do not want to overdo it because we feel that blended learning is still, we want to have the minimum approach for now. Okay, we don't want it to be like, we don't want to kill, okay, our existing BL. So SBL is the adoption of replacement, okay, substituting what we had as the conduct of physical class, but it needs to be planned carefully. Meaning we'll be missing some of the lectures conducted conventionally. Okay, so that is SBL. Right? So should you have any questions, so you can always direct to Kefal regarding blended learning, or you can always post it on Violet. But for your information, that Violet may not be Violet anymore. I thought of rebranding it to something else later. Okay. So I believe that's enough about blended learning revisited. Should you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Maybe this chat is still here, yeah? Okay, you can always add on. So thank you so much for listening for this 1 hour. And I hope to come up with a new topic later because I'm now introducing you to slowly, to hybrid learning, maybe. Okay, so till then, see you again in the next series of Casual Chat. So signing off.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Assalamualaikum. Have a nice day. Thank you.